Hello Year 1, we're working on the next step of our wolf forest composition. So hopefully you got as far as making your forest background in last week's lesson. So we need to save this to one side because the next thing we're going to do is make our wolf. Now, it is important that the piece of paper you use to make your wolf is smaller than the paper we use for our background, because eventually the wolf that we're going to draw and paint on this piece of paper is going to get cut out and stuck into our forest environment. So I'm going for a piece of paper about this size. Now, the other thing to note with this paper is it's not flimsy, it's kind of thick. And I'm going to be telling you later on why we want this paper to be thick. But step one is to draw the wolf. So I'm going to take you through how to draw it, one little bit at a time. Try your best to follow along. So the first thing I'm going to do is almost a bit like a rectangle near the top of my page. So there's my piece of paper and there's my lopsided kind of piece of a rectangle, okay? So hopefully you can have a go at doing that. The next thing I'm going to do is put a little hill coming out of the rectangle, okay? Now I'm going to do something that looks a little bit like a shark fin, okay? So I'm going to do a curvy point as if I was making the fin of a shark, and then I'm going to come back like that. So there's my shark fin. So rectangle, hill, shark fin. So this is the start of the wolf's head, and I'm going to put his eye right here near my hill, okay? The eye goes near the hill. Then I'm going to put kind of a bump at the back here, okay? So a little bit of a bump, kind of if we turned it this way, it would look like another hill, okay? So there's a little bump that comes out there. And then I'm going to do something that kind of looks like a river that flows out. Okay, so the river flows out and then the river curves. The river curves back round to here, okay? So this is probably the hardest bit actually, this step. So your river goes in, then it curves out, and then it comes down again. It's a little bit wiggly, okay? So it looks a bit like that. Then I'm going to come to about this point here. So where the river dips in, this is the wolf's back. I'm going to start here and I'm going to do a line that goes straight down and then it joins in with the curve. Right, now I know this is really tricky drawing, but you're just going to try your best, okay? So this is the hardest bit. This bit here that we've just done, this is definitely the hardest bit. All right, the next thing is we're going to come back up towards our rectangle here, and we're going to put in something that looks like a bit like a curly cur. Okay, a bit like a curly cur, and then it's going to come straight down, almost to where the tail is, and we're going to put in a little bump there. That's like the wolf's paw. So we've got a curly cur, a straight line, and then a little bump here, okay? And then I'm going to put in a curve here. This is going to represent the back legs of the wolf. So that's going to come in and curve like that. And that's all I'm going to do, okay? So that's my simple way of creating a wolf. Now, if you want to be fancy, you can put a little nose on the end there. And you can put, if you want to make him a bit scary looking, you might want to put some teeth along there. Now, I'm going to tell you why I've used thick paper. It's because I'm going to do an effect called sgraffito. Now, sgraffito is where you take something and scratch the paper. And the tool I'm using is a paper clip. And what I did was, and I'll show you an example, I just took a regular paper clip and I carefully opened it up. So I've got a piece of the end of the paper clip that's very, very hard and a little bit pointy. So what I'm going to do now is put scratch marks on my paper. And the reason I'm doing that is because when I paint my wolf, the scratch marks are going to show up and look like fur. So I'm going to, now this is really tricky, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. This is something that many children are going to struggle with. I'm going to demonstrate it, and if you can do it, fantastic. If you can't, never mind, okay? So here are my scratch marks. So I'm doing like little kind of lines, like as if you were drawing the fur with a pencil, but obviously I'm drawing it with a scratchy paper clip. And then I'm going to follow the shape of the leg here with my scratches, and I'm going to follow the shape of the tail. When you follow the shape of an object, it's called contour lines. And when you follow the contour lines, it kind of makes it look a bit more realistic. So I'm going to do some scratch marks on the nose here. I'm going to do some scratch marks around the head. Okay. And I think that'll do. So let's put a few on the ear as well. So there are all my scratch marks that you may or may not be able to see. They're a bit tricky to see because obviously they're just scratches. They're not actual pencil marks. Now, you can choose your colour for your wolf. I'm going to go with grey, okay? So when I imagine a wolf, I quite often imagine them grey. So the important thing with this is I've got to mix my grey in my lid, because if I just use the paint straight from my palette and put it onto my picture, you won't be able to see the sgraffito marks, the scratch marks. So what do I do? I've got a recipe for this. I'm going to do 10 splodges of just water in my lid. Okay, watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there are my 10 splodges. Then I'm going to take, I think, 4 swishes of whites. Now, the last person who used this paint, they made it a little bit messy, so your white probably looks a little bit cleaner than this one, but it's fine. So I'm going to do 1 swish and add it to my puddle, 2 swishes and add it to my puddle, 3 swishes and add it to my puddle, and then finally 4 swishes and add it to my puddle. Now, I haven't quite made grey yet, so I'm going to take a little bit of black and mix it in, and it will turn grey. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit unusual. I'm going to take some of this grey over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I've made a teenier puddle, and I'm going to turn this into a dark grey. And the way I'm going to do that is leave my teeny puddle there, but add a little bit of black to it. Oh, so this is very dark. I might actually put a little bit more water in there. So let's just go over our steps. I've got a really watery light grey and a really watery dark grey. I didn't paint straight from my palette. I mixed it in my lid first. Okay, so we're going to start with, best clean my brush off. I'm going to start with the light grey, and I'm going to just do a wash over the top of all of my wolf. So all of my wolf, and hopefully you can start to see some of these graffito marks appear. So all of my wolf is turning into this grey colour. Okay, so I'm going around all of my outlines and all of the fur. Okay, so once you've done all of that, so it's all coloured in light grey, we're then going to take the dark grey and we're going to go over where the pencil outlines are. So I'm going to go over there in darker grey. I'm going to go down the leg in darker grey. Okay, I'm going to go around his leg in dark grey. I'm going to go around the tail, just the edges, in dark grey. Okay, I'm going to go around the back of the head in dark grey, my shark fin ear in dark grey, and all these outlines are going to be dark grey. And that's as far as I'm going with my wool for today, because this is going to take long enough. The drawing, the sgraffito, the colour mixing and the painting, that's going to take quite a long time. So we're going to leave this for now, and then in my next video I'm going to show you how to add a little bit of pencil detail, cut him out and add him to our forest. Okay, well done for watching. I hope you're able to get some of these tools and follow along and try and make some of these sgraffito marks. All right, well done year one. Bye bye.